Hello guys, welcome back to AmericaOdiaToka blogs. Today's topic is very interesting on software testing life cycle. You will encounter very common questions in interviews as well as your fundamentals. So stay tuned, and if you have not subscribed me, please subscribe right now and press bell icon. If you want my daily blogs to watch, you can watch, or you can skip and just watch the training series. Let's start. If you have not gone through the previous videos, you can go through the in playlist, search software QA automation series. You will get the previous video. So today's content is software testing lifecycle. What is STLC? What is verifications and validations process in STLC? What are the phases of STLC? What is the entry and exit criteria of software testing? Every interview they will ask these questions, right? What are the QA or testing deliverables in each phase of software testings? Those questions also they will ask in the interview. But these are your fundamentals. You need to clear all this in order to be a good software automation or manual tester. So let's directly jump to STLC. Software testing lifecycle is nothing but a sequence of activities which is performed during a testing lifecycle. In any lifecycle, in a development lifecycle, there is a series of process. Similarly, in the testing, there is a series of process involved, right? Suppose you are going to a doctor, right? There is a series of processes nowadays, right? Before going to the doctor, they have to check you have COVID or not, right? Then they will do initial screening, you registered it, right? Then when your number will come, you will go there, they will test you and they will give you report, right? Similar things is in software testing. So in software testing life cycle, the QA or the tester performed a series of activities in sequence one by one, and to ensure it met the software quality standard, right? That is called STLC. And what the activities generally the QA do? QA means quality assurance. It does different verifications and validations. This is very important. In the every interview they will ask what is verification and validations. So it's V and V. Verification check software meets or conform specifications, okay? And validation checks whether the software meets the requirements and expectations. So verification, during the verifications, a QA identify bugs and defects, right, in that development life cycle, whereas if it is a validation finds bugs that verification cannot catch. So that is the difference between verifications and validations. Next interesting things is software lifecycle phases. I will cover all the phases, and each phases what is the things happens. I will also explain one by one. So in STLC the phases start is testing requirement analysis, right? You analyze the requirement and identify what is the testing need. Then the test planning, then the test case development, then the environment setup where to execute your test cases. Then you will execute the test cases. Then you declare the test closure, right? So that is the entire life cycle. Remember all the steps. They will ask you on interviews. Before going to each phase, I'm going to cover what are the entry and exit criteria in testing. It's very important to identify testing entry points and exit points. When you will go in a new job, they will ask what is your testing entry points and exit points. You need to prepare some steps, right? So those are the things you need to remember. What is entry criteria? It's nothing, right? Entry means prerequisite items must complete before testing begins. What are the prerequisite items which we assume to complete before testing begin. Business requirement sign off, right? So before testing starts, the requirements should be freeze and it should be developed by the developer. Then test cases must be drafted and reviewed by the team or the stakeholders, and unit testing should be complete by the developer, right? Test plan created by the QA or the tester and it reviewed by the entire team or the business, whoever the stakeholders. Then test data availability. Test data should be available when testing starts, right? Team aware their roles and responsibilities, right? Any assumptions agreed by the team should be identified. Team training should be done by the time, and defect reporting and handling protocol should be agreed. If it is SOP 1 and SOP 2 should not be open. So both developer, QA and business, everybody follow the protocol or reporting and handling. So these all are the entry criteria of software testing. Let's cover the exit criteria, right? So exit criteria defines items that must be completed before testing can be concluded as done. Before you declare the sign off, there are some criteria needs to be performed. What are they? Those 100% test cases executed, 95% test cases pass rate, like 95% test pass and 5% may fail. No open criteria or high severity defects, right? Remaining defects should cancel or address in future releases. If there are some defects, low hanging fruit defects, they can be addressed in the future release. All expected and actual results are captured and documented by the QA. Then all test metrics, right, should be created and shared to the stakeholders and team by the QA analyst. And of course, the QA should sign off. That's I have completed my testing. So these are all the criterias needs to be passed when you conclude that my test is finished. So this depends on company to company. There are more criteria. So these are the basic criteria I mentioned. So in interview they will ask what is the entry criteria and what is the exit criteria. You have good knowledge of technical, but you should have good knowledge of basic understanding, fundamentals, because many people fails in interview at the fundamental level. Let's start the each phases. This is very interesting, and I'll make you in such a very interactive way so that you won't feel bored. Okay, let's say goes to the requirement analysis phase, right? Are there any analysis done, or sorry, are there any testing done in the analysis phase? Yes, of course. When a tester analyzes a requirements, he can identify if there is any requirement gap, because at that point the QA will run behind the business analyst and the stakeholder to understand the requirement. During understanding also they can identify some gap, and those are termed as requirement defects. Okay, so the interview they will ask these questions also. Now what are the things happens in requirement analysis? The quality assurance tester studies the requirements from testing point of view, right, and identify testable requirements. Which are the requirements can be testable and which of the requirements are non-testable. And the tester, the analyst should prepare requirement traceability matrix. This is important. In the interview they will ask what is RTM, requirement traceability matrix. Means if there is a business requirement, and identify the test cases which can be linked to each particular requirement. So test cases linked to the requirement is nothing but the testing traceability matrix. Okay. Then QA may interact with various stakeholders to understand the requirement in detail during analysis. What else does? If the testing can be done manually or can be done by automation, the feasibility study of automation can be done at this stage. Identify testing environment need, right? If I'm going to test, which environment I'm going to test? Is the Oracle database job? Is the I will be testing the local, or I will test in the cloud environment, right? Or I'm going to test in the mainframe environment or in the data warehouse environment? Where are the environment? What are the tests that I need? That can be identified at this stage. Also, identify each individual test data need for the test cases. So these are the following steps generally a QA analyst or a tester follow during analysis phase. Then in interview sometimes they will ask, what are the deliverables in analysis phase by a QA? Simple. You analyze the requirement and you can give a feasibility report whether you can automate or you can do manual, or whether you can all the requirement can be tested or some are them non-testable requirement, so that RTM matrix, required traceability matrix, can be provided. So two deliverables, RTM and test automation feasibility. The next report is very important, that is the planning phase, right? For everything planning is needed. So what a QA do in the planning phase? So determine testing strategy. What is my testing plan? Strategy means the plan. I want to document everything in a Word or Excel that indicates step by step process I am going to follow. So that is the test strategy. Then what is the efforts needed and what is the cost for the testing activities, and how many testing resources can be work, and the test environment, test limitations, and the testing schedule, how the testing can be scheduled, what time. So all this action is performed. And also of course the test plan or the strategy document, and select the test tool suitable for your project, whether it is automation or any manual tool, or any training activities needed for the team to be trained for the testing, right? So these are all the steps generally followed by QA analyst during the test planning, and mostly the senior persons involved in the test planning. And what are the deliverables in this phase? Test plan and strategy document, and the testing effort estimation. These are the two deliverables during the planning phase. The next is very important, test case development, right? How to write a test cases. So that I will go in detail how to write the test cases. I will give you a practical example with a Jira tool or QC tool, okay? Don't worry. So test case development, create test cases whether it is manual or it is automation script, right? During development phase, if automation scripts means some language, right? Whether JavaScript, Java or Python, right? Any language. So I'll tell you also what language I'm going to tell you, mostly for UI automations, for back-end automations. Then review with the team and baseline test cases and automation script, of course. Create test data. If test environment is available, create the test data during test case development. And what are of course the deliverables during test case development? So it's a test cases you have to write in a system or somewhere or document, or if it's automation script, write the automation scripts and the test data. So these are the two deliverables during test cases development. Next phase is test environment setup, right? So test environment setup, what is the need of test environment? Because when you want to test a particular software, you need a test bed, right, where you can run the test cases, find defects and all, right? So the test environment is very important aspect. Is either test person directly involved in creating the setting of the test environment, or in the help of a development team, or if there is a test environment separate team, coordinate with them and ensure test environment is set up. It's a QA responsibility to do or coordinate, right? And set up environment and test data. And also once the environment is set up, right, to perform the smoke, so the initial build code whatever is there, it's working bare minimum or not. Just a smoke means to identify smoke, if there is a fire or there is a smoke or not, so just to check. And the deliverables, of course, environment should be ready, test data set up for testing, right? Smoke test results, those are the 3 deliverables. The next is test execution, right? The QA test engineer perform actual software testing based upon test plans and test cases prepared earlier, right? In the previous development phase, you just prepare the test cases, right? So you want to execute those in this test execution phase. So what are the things generally performed? QA execute tests as per the plan, documents test results, right? Log defects for failed test cases. If there are any test cases failed, then log as a defect or bug, right? Then map each defect to the particular requirement. You earlier remember the RTM, requirement traceability matrix, right? So these defects needs to be mapped to the requirements. Then retest, if there is any defects, develop or fix the code, you need to retest that and ensure the defect is not occurring anymore. Then track the defects to closure, right? Then what are the deliverables in this test execution stage? Completed RTM with the execution status, test cases updated with results and defect reports. Now we say test closure phase. So this is, oh man, testing completed, right? QA declare completions of test executions, right? In the closure, QA will declare, okay, my test case is finished. When you say that everything is finished, all the test cases documented, all the reporting happen, all the results are exported. If you are using the QC document, or you are using the Jira X-ray for testing, or if you are using any Microsoft, there is a Microsoft product for testing. So whatever product you are using, you just get the report from there and share to all your stakeholders and ensure everything is done correctly, and you verify you have a checklist, right? Test exit criteria, make sure that each thing's completed based upon the test exit criteria. Then finally you present the testing report and metrics to the entire team and the stakeholders, and you do the sign off. As soon as QA does the sign off, stakeholders give the sign off, then project go for install, right? So QA role is very important, and this role who needs to be performed needs to be done thoroughly, right? A QA can identify a minor defect which can save $1 million if there is issue in a product in the production. So it's so simple, right? So what you remember, all the steps whatever I told right now: software testing life cycles, what is verifications, what is validations, right? What are the different phases, and each phases what are the deliverables, right? And all the QA responsibilities, and also the entry and exit criteria for testing. So these are all the things I have covered. So all these are, fundamentals. Get clear all these are fundamentals. Even if you are experienced resource and you didn't go through all this, when you go interview, they will ask some questions on this also. So thank you friend for watching this today's video. The next video is going to be more interesting day by day, right? So please start watching from the beginning first video. So this is the second upload. Third upload will come after 2-3 days. So stay tuned, and I request share my video to all the college graduates, all those passed out or those who are going to pass out in 1-2 years. They can learn and prepare for the market, and those are didn't get a job, they can go through it and prepare for the job interview. So hope this will help for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye now.